Friends, I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants and learned speakers to the 80th webinar on Esop Game Changer in Compensation Packages. It is being organized by corporate professional as a part of his knowledge sharing initiative, which we are doing since last 2 years. And this is our 80th webinar. Friday, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6 is our consistent organizing program on the various topics of corporate India. There are various parts in the salary structure of an employee which are conveniently referred to as a cost to the company. Employee stock option is one of the budding parts of the CTC, which allow the employees to buy a predefined number of shares or equity stake in the company at a set market price. Esops are typically offered to the senior managerial designation of the company. However, a lot of early stage startup and recently incubated entrepreneur are offering Esop as a part of CTC to bring down the effective cost to the company. This works out not only for most of the unlisted company, but also for the listed enterprises as well. It is evident to say that Esop are no more a fable. It is as they reach to greater rank with each passing day. Friends, as you are aware that everybody in the corporate world, they are struggling on two aspects. One is how to retain the employees, how to reward the employees, and how the growth of the employee as well as the company should be ensured. And next is, if employee is working as a person, the last 10 year, 20 or 30 years as an employee, and there is no sense of ownership, his performance and their performance can bring out sea changes if you bring the input of ownership. Now, since so many years, this issue every corporates they are facing. Then in the process, the Esop came. Esop came long back, but it was not very popular in India. It was popular with only startup because they brought this culture in India. Then we heard that banking sector has started and they are asking that every bank should give Esop to their senior management to bring out more from them. Then some listed company they have started. So slowly the ecosystem has taken place in the country. Today, friends, not only the listed or startup or the banking sector, there are so many new people which are not connected to Esop and they are not thinking that Esop is something they are using, and that is called unlisted company or unlisted business. Now, the most important thing that Esop brings whatever I have said: retention, growth, reward, as well as ownership concept. So this Esop, which is suggesting so many new things, it's a very flexible system. It's a system where there's no need that only listed company can take advantage or startup can take advantage. Unlisted companies also do this thing. But some companies, some corporate ask this question that I'm not listed, how to do it? So the buyback system is there. So today you are appointing somebody at a higher salary, but you have a apprehension that what will be his performance, the performance is not good, what I will do. The Esop is the right mix, right instrument that you, along with the compensation, you divide into two parts, the cash component and the Esop component. And an Esop you can make as a part of their future performance. So he is also aware that if I do this, I'll get this. If I will not do, I'll not get this. If I leave the company during that period or previous whatever mentioned in their contact, then I'll not get. So both are coming together. And then he is also aware that if I'm doing something good, I'll get better return. So that's why some companies are doing buyback as a fixed price. Some companies are doing buyback on the book value. Some companies are doing buyback, on various other aspects. Listed company, we can see that listed company, when they are issuing, market is a one parameter. So friends, you can understand this is one instrument which is solving so many problems. And suddenly the new labor code is coming from 1st April. Now for the 1st April, when labor code is coming, the cost of CTC is increasing because there are so many components which lower labor code is prescribing, which will not be the part of CTC, which will be the part of the CTC. But overall, cost of compensation will increase. So what is happening? So what is the solution for this? The solution lies here, that Esop you bring out. So today, our 3 speakers will tell you that how the Esop can reduce cost of the people in the company without affecting the performance and without affecting their company's growth. So we should realize that this system of Esop will bring so many changes, and this will change the face of the compensation system in the country. So friends, today our 3 learned speaker, one speaker is very unique, who has seen the Esop since 1999. So you can understand he has seen all journeys. Then we have another speaker who is the expert in the labor law, people's law. So he is connecting. And then third thing is coming, that okay, all these things are there, but how I will do it? Then another speaker will talk to you. So our deliberation will divide into 3 parts: benefit of introducing Esop in the unlisted and listed company, how Esop can be introduced in CTC and the new wage structure, and nitty-gritty to introducing Esop in the company, at how the Esop will take place. So I'm introducing our learned speaker today. First, I'll welcome Mr. Arun Kumar Gupta. Mr. Arun Gupta is a Chief Financial Officer of Newgen and has been with the company since 2010. He oversees financial planning, treasury, global taxation, investor relations, business finance, compliance, and financial reporting. He has over 25 years experience in finance, having previously worked with companies like Thermex, Satyam, and Mersh. He holds a bachelor degree in science from the University of Calcutta, and he's a qualified company secretary, cost and works accountant, and a chartered accountant. So one of the most qualified person he is. And Arun Gupta ji is working in Newgen. That is a company which started Esop in 1999. So you can understand they have seen all types of things, all types of issues, and today we will get benefit of his experience, his area of concern relating to Esop, that how Esop can help them. Welcome Arun Gupta ji for today's program. Our next speaker is Mr. Jorawar Singh. He's a director and CEO of Olympus Management Consultancy Service Private Limited. He holds a degree in engineering, is a law graduate, and MBA in HR. He has experience over 30 years, including 14 years as a senior HR position in leading corporates. He regularly provides consulting service and hold workshop on labor laws for government, professional, and industry bodies. And Mr. Jorawar Singh is a authority on the labor law and very crisp knowledge and the command over the subject. I'm an advisor to his knowledge. Today, Mr. Jorawar Singh will discuss about because he is expert in the labor law side. So how the new labor code is coming, how it will impact the cost to the company, and by introducing Esop, you can satisfy your company employee, and simultaneously you can reduce your cost also. I welcome you, Jorawar Singh ji, for the program. Then we have Mohini Bashne. She is a Master of Commerce and fellow member of ICSI, possesses 17 years experience. Presently, she is handling Esop and SEBI Insider Law Compliance division of the group. She is expert in providing end-to-end solution for all kinds of share-based employee benefit plan, along with in-depth advisory, opinion, educational and technical session of the board and other employee on the Esop insider laws. Her clientele include over 150 companies comprises of listed, unlisted, startup, MNC, and the government companies. Ms. Bashne was instrumental in developing group's web-based application Esop Guardian to manage Esop for 1,000 or 10,000, 20,000 people, because that is the need of the hour. Because if we are issuing Esop to the employee has so many questions, so many things. So, and how to manage them, their tax planning, their taxes issues, their grant, and their usability of this. She handles that Esop Guardian software. And the inside list to comply with SEBI prohibition and insider trading regulation, which is also the connected part of the Esop running successfully in various companies. Ms. Bashne has been the guest speaker in various programs organized by ICSI and has contributed several articles and quotes in financial dailies, e-papers, and business magazines. So I welcome all three speakers, Mr. Arun, Mr. Jogarawar Singh, and Ms. Mohini Bashne. Friends, today's structure will be like this. After my introduction, I will request Mr. Arun Gupta that he has used this Esop tool. So what are the advantages he got? Their company is using since 99. So it means they must have gone through so many problems, so many solutions. Today, when we are talking, the Esop is 2022. So you can understand 22 years, 23 years back, they have started using this. So they must have seen all problems and they must have matured the system to the hilt, because now the ecosystem is supporting. So after that, Jorawar Singh will talk about the labor law part and the compensation part, how the companies can use this and how, without affecting the law part and without affecting the performance of the company and their satisfaction, Jorawar Singh will discuss, and Mohini will discuss about the Esop service, how it can be used, what are the models, what are the things. And after that, we will have a question and answer session. So now I will request our first speaker, and simultaneously I request all the participants. I have received around 21 questions from the participant that we will discuss. But anybody has any question, please pass on right here. We will, all the learned speaker will give answer. Over to you, Mr. Arun Gupta, for your deliberation.
Yeah, hi everybody. Good evening. So I think as Pawanji has told, yes, we have worked on this Esop scheme for last 20 years and various phases of the I'll say the learning as a unlisted company as well as a listed company, and obviously we have gone through that, and it's a good tool, no doubt about it, but it has its share of challenges also. So when we talk about the Esop scheme as far as Newgen is concerned, we have introduced the first scheme in 1999, and we have closed it very recently in 2017. Basically, all the Esop has been exercised in last 17 years, and we had obviously that time company was unlisted, so obviously at a very nominal price we have given the Esops to them. We were having that kind of liberty to give at the best of the price to the employees, and employees have continued also with that kind of mindset and accordingly grown also with the company. In 2014, before the IPO, between the P rounds, we have gone with a new scheme also, and that again we have gone and there we have tried to cover major number of employees also. I'll say that through this Esop scheme we have covered maximum number of employees in the mid-level, senior level, and we have tried to cover a major chunk of employees through this scheme, and that has benefited employee also as well as company also in many ways, which I will try to share in the next slides. We have also got one RSU scheme, which is, we call it restrictive stock option scheme, and this was majorly for the senior employees on performance base. So that also we have tried after the success with the Esop schemes, and that we have just started actually 6 months back. As I've told, I think coverage, we have tried to cover maximum number of employees, and being an IT company, obviously it becomes very important to keep motivated employee and a sense of ownership. So I think that we have got the success through the ESOP scheme. Next slide, please. So I think when we are talking about benefits or objectives, whatever way you say, so I think the best part is that continuity and retention of employees is a very important thing in the service sector, especially in the IT sector. And we have achieved very substantially that objective through the ESOP scheme, because our attrition has been very minimal, and there I think this scheme has played a very good role. Even it takes care of the rewarding of the performance also for those employees who are good performers. So I think that factor is also taken care, and as Pawanji has rightly told, that if even if something we want to give it for the long term, for the medium term, it becomes a good tool for the employees. One is the and even it creates a sense of ownership as well as value creation for the employees, which is very important. So as company grows, they will be growing. That sense is very important with the employees. That is the win-win for both of employee as well as the employer, and that gets achieved through the ESOP scheme. And ownership is something I'll say that it is very important, because uh, attrition is more about that ownership being not there, the employees in many places, many times. So with good performance, if you create that ownership through the long-term value chain in the ESOP scheme, that helps a lot in the overall ecosystem as far as ESOP is concerned. Next slide, please. So I think I'll say the challenges, as I've told initially also, that challenges when I see in last 20 years also, even post listing also, and I'll be honest, I think corporate professional also has helped us in this journey in many ways. Mohini ji is very much helpful in the many of the queries they have resolved for us also. So I think what happens that once you go for the listing also, once you go for the listing, I think whether it is approval from SEBI, whether it is formation of trust as per the SEBI requirement, or maybe updation of the trust deeds, whatever required, registration of the trust, even transfer of shares through loan mode. Again, that is not a very simple process, but there are limits around that also when we talk about loan. But yes, I think that's a model which generally company follow. Even we have followed also, and but I think it comes with a good amount of challenge. It comes with a good amount of compliances, reporting. So I think that is one challenge which at times complicate the whole process for the industry. Second thing, I'll say the biggest, because I think the way it is structured, the way it has to be accounted, there is a huge impact also in the balance sheet of the company when we talk about ESOP. Because whenever you grant, you have to factor that cost also. There is a method around it. I will not go into detail around that, but I think there's a good impact on the cost. Then I think next thing, which I'll say not exactly a challenge, but yes, still it is a I'll say limitation, that obviously from the wider investment community, dilution in the EPS value also plays a important role as far as their expectations are concerned. So whenever you grant ESOP to employees, overall there is a dilution as far as earning per share is concerned. So I think that also is an important factor. When we talk about, then I think obviously dilution is also as far as promoters and other stakeholders are concerned, because whenever you issue ESOP, generally it is getting issued through the primary issue of the shares. So I think that creates a dilution as far as other stakeholders are concerned. Then I think off late very recently, I'll say there is updation as far as the government guidelines is concerned. So cashless option is not possible now. A global company like us, or all the major other companies, listed companies, you face a problem when you try to give this ESOP to the foreign citizens, because the cashless option has been removed now. So that also is a challenge of late we are facing. And then I think most importantly, I'll say when initially ESOP scheme has been launched, as far as the concept has come in India, I think it was very much tax friendly, but slowly government has completely taxed it. So I think from a employee point of view or from a company point of view, it's not the tax advantage exactly when we say it is more about the retaining of employees, motivation, ownership, which surely plays a role. But the tax and statutes has been, I'll say, completely there. So I think obviously that's a challenge when we talk about whether ESOP scheme create any cost effectiveness from tax point of view. It doesn't. But yes, I think there are other benefits, no doubt. So when we talk about, again, I think we have touched upon this in the next slide, the cost benefit analysis and recommendations. So I think goes without saying that ESOP but yes, at the same time, it comes with all the bags and baggages also. And that is something we as a company and as a responsible person have to handle that. So I think that's it from my side. So I'll stop here. So thank you, Pavanji, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arun. No doubt, you have given the insights and the challenges also. The tax is no doubt is a big issue, but if we see long-term growth, if you make any employee a partner, then the performance of that company and the organization is going in multiplier. And
Yeah.
that's why, no doubt, you have given this, but see the startup. They are starting everything with the ESOP. We, as, we as a traditional company thinks of so many things twice, thrice. But these people are not thinking, they are thinking they make partner of everybody in this journey and you will get return in future. So the concerns are there and they no doubt the tax issue has to be resolved by the government if you want to make this system very strong. Dilution of promoters equity, dilution of ESOP, these are the issues, no doubt, but that is a fractional as compared to the benefit. Okay.
Yeah.
And to make the draft scheme, SEBI approval, trust route, all these things, now the professionals are there. She can undertake anything relating to this, and she has done.
We have taken that, Pavanji. I think we have taken that help throughout. So I think that's what I've told, that in the journey, corporate professional has been helpful.
And the cost in the books of company has to be one issue which should be looked into, because cost to the employees is also there, cost to the company is also there. So that has to be bring out. So that's why some awareness, some good thing should come. So thank you very much, Arun. We will ask you various questions. I think we have received now more than 30, 35 questions. So we will definitely ask. Now over to you, Joravarji. Joravarji, as you are aware that you are taking everywhere the topic relating to labor code.
Correct.
And the labor code, you are telling everybody prepare yourself for future, because when the implementation will start, the cost of employee, the cost, the gratuity, the basic pay, various things are changing. So we want to understand from you that what are the changes in the labor code, so the cost of the company will increase. That is number one. Number two, how we can structure by using ESOP so the costs can reduce, and other benefit which Arun has explained to you, to all of us, that can go up. Over to you, sir.
Right, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me share my screen. Okay. See, as Mr. Pavan has described, I am basically a HR professional, all being in HR line all throughout, and consulting for last couple of years now, mainly in HR. So recent four labor codes have come up. And this has got a renewed interest of industry in understanding codes, and I have been giving webinars and presentations on the new codes. And I was when I was invited to talk about ESOPs, I was as surprised as you may be what HR person is doing here on ESOPs. But on thinking little deep, it is ESOPs is all related to people and people processes, as Mr. Gupta has also just told us. Based on this, I was told to visualize ESOPs where they are being used or underused or not being used, and how we can exploit them, and scrub all this thinking with the new codes. So the new labor codes are coming, and there are lots of changes which have been there, which I'll be discussing in very brief, because the labor codes complete webinar we have already done before. Now, everybody wants to have an overall opinion about the ESOPs and the schemes and scrub them with our HR requirements, which we do as an outside consultant or specialist, which we do because sitting inside a company, we are sometimes formatted, and our processes and systems stop us from thinking out of the box. Once the overall opinion of the scheme is available, we can always sit with the team member inside who knows their own operational gaps, and then can visualize where the schemes can be used, where we are underusing, and where we can optimally use them. So based on that, based on the recent inputs from the industry, I have collected the 4 challenges, which to me appears as: one is the challenge related to the IR code, where we need to read over HR policies. The standing, as you know, under the new code, standing order is applicable now to everybody. Earlier, it was only for factory. Now, even service sector, hotel, everybody has to go with the standing order. Standing order is certifying the unsaid policies or one-sided policies in the company and making them public and through a bipartite negotiation. So now, once we have these policies there, obviously, the challenge before us in HR is when management says, okay, you go ahead and redesign the HR policies, but please keep in mind the liquidity. We may book liabilities, but we don't have that kind of cash flow to spare. So I find it very interesting that at some point ESOP schemes have been very helpful in maintaining liquidity. Then certain venture capitalists, when they give funding to certain clients, they say, okay, you have to maintain your salary cost in a particular ratio, only 7%, 11%, or 33% given on the industry type. And we want to give people, to retain people, to give people remuneration, we want to come up with certain schemes where we don't book them really, those things really as a salary at the moment, and we can show on a balance sheet, the salary ratio, salary expenses as lower. And then some clients even want a green balance sheet. They says, okay, we don't even want to book the liabilities. Now this is very surprising. Okay, can there be something for which we are giving, but we don't even book it? Yes, for example, gratuity. Gratuity, we can put it as a CTC, but it doesn't accrue for 5 years. So I feel a similar correlation in certain ESOP schemes also, where we can have it, we can give it, announce it, communicate it, but still not give it, still not book it in our balance sheet, and our balance sheet can be green. And why companies need to keep balance sheet green sometimes, because I have been running my own setup. I know that I cannot book a loss because my bank doesn't give me an overdraft. My overdraft facility, or the amount of overdraft which I get, is directly linked to profit I'm showing on my balance sheet. So sometimes I'm constrained to lower my expenses or defer them in a way that I can take them out to some other year or other part when my liquidity or cash flow is. Second challenge which is coming up is a wage structuring, where everybody is saying that the new wage code has come up. And now what has new wage code done? New wage code has asked us that basic has to be this and allowances has to be this. Allowances cannot be more than 50%. So now everybody wants us to restructure wage so that it complies with the new wage code. But at the same time, the challenges before us, how to keep our basic lower, how to, link our variable pay and customize it or document it in a way that it is compliant with the code, which the new code leaves a very little scope. How can we have some performance linked the policies in place, which go in compliance with the code? So these are a couple of the things, challenges which are there, which I think are directly can be addressed through certain ESOP schemes. Certain new codes, I am just touching the codes very briefly. The new code also prohibits contract labor in the core areas. That means if contractor is going out, we will have lot more people on our own roles, though we may have fixed terms in lieu of them because production has to go on or core areas have to go on. So now with this kind of mix coming in, earlier these contractor laborers, their productivity, etc., was being ensured by the contractor, who was himself a business owner, and he has direct interest in the profitability of his own people or ratio which he was getting. Now with this people on our own role, my managers and supervisors and people exercising supervisory control, they'll be they this who are on a fixed salary will need to be, these three challenges which need to be there. They need to be retained, one. Number two, they need to be reimbursed vis-a-vis the productivity, and some performance linked incentive schemes need to be come up so that their interest is maintained vis-a-vis this load which is now coming on to them because of these changes in the labor laws. Fourth is the culture building, which is both because of labor codes as well as because of post-COVID. People have, in the work from home scenario, realized that they have different kind of passions which are there. So they want to pursue their passions, and there is a mass resignation happening in the US right now for the illogical reasons. People are leaving companies, and which we are also expecting that India will also go through certain change where people say suddenly they realize they want to do something different. So we need to have some schemes in place where we can keep business engaged. As earlier speaker has said, that people need to have ownership in the business. They need to feel connected with the business. They need to think that they're doing it for own. So this is one area where when we can usher in changes, we need to build a passion and commitment of people where we can the ESOPs can be a good tool. So I have these challenges which have come to me. I also want you to visualize in your back of your mind that what three challenges, 4, 5 challenges you may have, which may require immediate attention and which can be useful. So to be what I have, since we are anyways, because of new labor codes, we have an opportunity today, and we are anyways reinventing the HR processes. So the challenges currently coming and which we can address with this financial tool are liquidity, obviously, wage structure, which we need to do wage restructuring in a manner that we have lower basic and other things. Retention is retention of employees is another challenge where we can use or under over or appropriately use the tool. Performance linked performance improvement and building passion. These are some of the gaps or challenges which currently organization is facing on the people front. Now coming to one by one, since all labor codes are coming, every company is taking this one-time opportunity to overhaul their HR. So why not use this opportunity to rethink and align and whatsoever new processes in HR we are making, so in a manner so that today or tomorrow, whenever we think of using a tool like ESOPs in our system, our policies are such that we are able to gel them or synchronize them with the revised HR systems which we are thinking of getting into the place. Then I was asked that which are the companies who need it most. So most of the companies, they want the salary to be variable. What is variable? They want that the fixed cost should be kept as low as possible. Rest should be performance based. So more the work, more the delivery of individual, more should be the reward. So that is called variable cost. The if the organization is more into thinking more about variable cost, and if there is a pressure on HR to link everything to the performance, sometimes CEO says, okay, every month before disbursing the salary, please ensure that targets are met. So this kind of company, which is more focused on variable cost, they need the ESOPs most, and they need to customize some one or the other HR policies so that they can be addressed through ESOP systems. So in HR policies, what changes have come up are that one, standing order get applies to everybody. Second, we have an option of hiring up to 300 people now before we fall into the bracket where we need a permission from government. We have an option of fixed term staff where we can hire people for a fixed term, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but on our own roles. The government in new codes is promoting bipartite negotiations. That means we will be having more transparent, answerable balance sheets, employees asking us, we telling them what are the benefits, how we share them. So they have to be closely knit with our performances, our policies, our thinking accordingly. At the same time, we also want to, as discussed earlier, we also want to have a liquidity cash flow in control. We also want to limit on salary expenses, and CTC, which is not exactly, which is what we say, cost to company is what is perceived by employee and not what is actually booked by us, like in the example of gratuity. Now in the wage code, the changes which have come up are multifold. One, we all know that one major change is in the payment of wages, which says that basic has to be 50% of the total, and allowances cannot go beyond the basic, for example. That is one of the easiest, and everybody knows. What we don't know is it also brings in the Equal Remuneration Act, which says people doing a similar kind of work should be paid similar. So now the question is, how do I reward those who do extra? If somebody is doing 130% of the target, how do I take care of that? Because earlier Equal Remuneration Act did not apply. I had a different motive altogether. But now, if I have to keep everybody's wages, so I need to have a well-documented policy of rewarding somebody who's outperforming, overperforming. And when I'm anyways doing it, so I could think of certain schemes under this financial tool of ESOPs, which can be very useful to me in this part. Second part was that Payment of Wages Act was so far not applying to everybody. It was applying only to people in a scheduled employment, a very limited industry, and that too to people who were having salary of 21,000 rupees only. So that means an IT company where people are being paid beyond 21,000. Seldom an employee will go to a labor court or a labor inspector for a non-payment of wages. But under the new codes, everybody, even a general manager, if it is related to wages or non-payment of wages or having allowances more than wages, or not getting equal remuneration or equal opportunity, can open this Pandora box before labor inspector or on an online e-grievance portal or go to a labor court. So that means we are now having a new set of employees with a new understanding of CTC, which are going to hit us. So far, we were only concerned with a lower strung set of employees, and in that part, we were very good in documentation and doing it. But at senior level, the restructuring is now a bigger challenge, given these things. Why? Because why we want to keep basic lower? Because we see in mid management and senior management, we have 20 to 25% as basic. We have management allowance and plethora of other allowances, so that basic is 25% only. And nobody questioned it because nobody was covered under any law so far. And PF is voluntary up till beyond 15,000. So that was the only criteria so far. Now, but with the new codes coming in, they prohibit. This is base wage is something which will drive your gratuity. So that means your gratuity, which is being booked by me in my balance sheet so far at the old rate, suddenly for all those previous years, I have to multiply with the new factor of wage, which is 50%, not 25%. That means not only doubling gratuity for the current year, for all the previous years. So suddenly it will blot my payables on my balance sheet. Similarly, the higher basic will also result in higher overtime, higher EPF, higher leave encashment. Then most companies also have lots of sales incentives, and I have worked with a couple of telecom clients where my people were having a salary of say 15,000, but they used to earn monthly incentive of 30,000, 45,000, because it was on a variable model. And variable model was not basic, but under the new codes, a variable cannot exceed beyond a point. Moment you have 15,000 base wage and 45,000 is your incentive because you have very good target achiever, your balance part also falls back into your basic. And once this person leaves, his gratuity is going to be basic plus incentive divided by 2, which will increase. That means multiple times vis-a-vis person who is just achieving the target and getting a base wage of 15. So these changes which have taken away most of the loopholes from Payment of Wages Act or from the way definition of wage is forcing us to keep our base wage in control. But how? The third challenge which I was thinking supervisory restructuring, as I said, since we will be having a lot of new employees as fixed term employees, our on-roll employees now, which will be working with us in the system, and our supervisors who do not have direct link to their productivity. So they also need to be incentivized based on the performance of the team, of the department, of the SPU, of the company. And there are certain things like Gratuity Act which have outlived their utility, because the question is when at what period I want to retain my employee, because now the supervisor has to retain an employee and supervisor also need a tool to retain, and when to retain. So some companies employee productivity comes after 18th month, and if person leaves before 18th month is a cost to me. The break even happens at 18th month. In some companies, product life cycle is different. It is just some product life cycle is 3 years or 6 years or 7 years. And at the same time, we also need schemes where, like KBC, we need to maintain interest. Interest in the manner like if you achieve up to 3 lakhs, you don't fall back. You can try. And once you reach 6 lakh level, you don't fall back. You at least get that. So some schemes, which these features are not in the given Gratuity Act. Gratuity Act says that in the 4th year, employees start waiting that he she'll get eligible for gratuity. And in the 5th year moment the gratuity comes, there is no further incentive to stay back. So the attrition happens mostly in 5th year, between 5th and 6th year. So I need to customize, need to have certain schemes in my system which retain my employee at 3rd year or 7th year, depending upon my own uh, organization needs. Then we also, under the new system, we also need to ensure productivity. We want to reward performance. Whom? The individual performance. We want to reward individual performance. We don't want to reward teamwork. We want to reward performance in a strategic business unit or overall company. And we want to define, has the rewards and outcomes, effort and outcomes defined in terms of predetermined objectives which are met, and we do it that way. So this is a good opportunity. And when I was going through these schemes, certain schemes, so these schemes helped me achieve them. what I am covering is beyond labor codes strictly legal, but I am covering the labor codes and their perceived impact. So labor codes are also going to impact the culture in a company. So we also need to look at the cultural change. We also need to have these people committed, because the fixed term employee, we're telling them, okay, uh, most of the companies which are approaching me, they're saying they'll replace, if they have no option to hire a contractor, but they'll get fixed term employees to keep it in check. Now, fixed term employees are engaged for a period of 1 year and 2 years, where employee knows the person is going away in a first year or a second year. So the engagement of employee is very limited. Person also knows. So his commitment to the company, her commitment to the company is also constrained or in a certain view. So how we this new set of employees which will be coming in, how we have their passion or commitment to the company. Payment of bonus act came because initially it was visualized that a company owner or a businessman is a capitalist who want to extract maximum out of worker, and there was no system of profit sharing. So then payment of bonus act came in new codes also there is a payment of bonus act clause. But unfortunately, so far it only shared profit, and in future also shares profit only to the employees up to up to salary of 21,000. That means we don't have any tool for sharing our profits or success story where people are having salary more than 21,000, and with the now central government minimum wage is touching 17 18,000, almost everybody is reaching that level of 21,000, and so there is no profit sharing. So we are certainly in need of certain schemes here, which instead of just paying ex gratia, which doesn't serve anything, because when we pay ex gratia to people in lieu of bonus, nobody gives in return anything to that, because they feel that everybody is getting bonus, we are also getting ex gratia, and if we don't pay them ex gratia, they feel that, okay, they are left out. So instead of paying ex gratia, if we have a performance linked scheme or tool like this, we can this ex gratia part, which we are not statutorily obliged to pay, so this liquidity can be saved, and instead a better scheme here uh, can not only help us in cash flow, but take uh, give us other benefits like retention, passion building, continuity. So if we look at these schemes and our HR objectives, we'll see that employee stock option plan is something like a gratuity scheme where a person is retained, person gets it gets triggered at third year, seventh year, depending upon the retention levels we set in. So it's kind of a retention scheme. And if we look at restricted stock unit scheme, it is based on individual performance linked, that if you achieve a target of this much, you get certain units. If you achieve a level of this much productivity or deliver this much result, so it is an individual performance based scheme. Then something called stock appreciation plan, a stock appreciation rights plan, in which when the company stock appreciates, you also get paid higher. So it is a team incentive program or a profit sharing program or a substitute to payment of bonus act, where we say, okay, my stock price has gone up because of your good effort of a team or a company as a whole. So everyone gets rewarded more like in a payment of bonus act. Then we have employee stock purchase schemes. In these schemes, we help subsidize or give advances to employees and ask them to purchase stocks. So what happens once they purchase stocks? They get committed to the organization. They look at it every day. They look at it growing every day, and they have their passion and commitment being built up, which is the need of the hour now. And so we can have them coming, joining, getting engaged, and culturally be with us for a longer time. So if we look at these schemes, so each one of them addresses one or the other component. So it is just not only that the wage code that we need to just have the lower basic and we come up with the other components. It is other factors of HR that also can be addressed through these schemes. Over to ma'am, anything which I may have left out or you want to specifically address?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Joravar. You have given a new dimension to this labor law mixed hybrid system of Esop, and which is coming out a new dish, and which is giving a new dimension to this particular aspects. Once, if the Esop is connected with the compensation package with so many benefits, then everybody will try to do this. And this is my prediction that shortly you will find, and this is happening worldwide, not in India. In worldwide, my any relative, my any friend's son who is abroad and he is getting a job, he is immediately asking one question, uncle, they are giving me ESOP as well as this compensation. Should I take ESOP or should I reject this? So now the question is that that concept was not there in India. But once the ecosystem is there, once the advantage, people will realize, I hope that every company will issue ESOP, listed, unlisted, no matter. And that will be a part and parcel of this. And then the market of unlisted ESOP will also take a new shape. So you will find so many new things in this. So thank you, Joravarsi. We have received so many questions relating to you. After the Moni's presentation, we'll discuss with you. Over to you, Moni. Please tell us how, why, because just now Joravarji has shown so many things which we are aware and people are also aware, but we want to understand that ESOP, RSU, SARP, ESPS, what are the things. So please share this so we can understand and how we can use this ESOP, what is the process, what are the system every company should follow. Over to you. Moini, you have to unmute yourself. No, you are not audible. Your presentation is visible. You're not audible.
So now I'm audible.
Yeah, there's some. You have to just correct your voice. Your voice is fumbling. Just start. Please try.
Yeah. So just
Going. Just if somebody is using, please switch off other phone.
So now I'm audible, sir.
It is better.
Okay. So thank you, Ravaji and Arun sir, giving us a thought on that why the ESOPs should be there in the company.
Louder, Moini.
Hello.
Yeah, a little bit louder.
So Arun sir has given us a brief that how the new gen has introduced in 1999, and then they are giving the ESOPs in new gen since so long, and what are the benefits they have achieved when they have given the ESOPs and introduced ESOPs in their company. And Joravaji has given a very right point towards that nowadays why the
Moini, your voice is echoing. Please just correct this.
sir, it's fine now.
Start karo.
With respect to this, so what exactly the ESOPs are now? So when we talk about ESOPs, so in the equity stock incentive plans, what we are giving and offering to our employees is that we are giving them that you will be getting the equity shares of a company, predetermined price, which will be decided today, and then a later date when they get the right of it and whenever the opportunity for them will be received, then they will be converting those options into equity and they become the owner and the shareholders of the company. So definitely the ESOPs are now becoming a tool to attract and retain talents. Now, not only the existing employees are being given a reward of it, also the ESOPs are now being made a part of, you can say, as a joining bonus or something like that in the new compensation era of the companies. So now, when we talk about that, what are the objectives, the traditional and the way when the ESOPs have come into existence? So definitely, the objectives are to motivate, to retain, to achieve sustained growth between the employees and the shareholders, and to create a sense of ownership. And definitely, one of the new reason of giving the ESOPs to our employees is that we will defer their rewards today and link that reward which they have earned again with the value of the company and giving them at a later date when that reward also get bigger then now the new emerging needs of introducing the ESOPs has also come, as Joravaji has covered, like that global HR practices also requires in India also that we change our compensation packages and we introduce an equity ownership plans in the company in the compensation packages of our the pay structures are definitely be requirement because of the new wage code, with wherein ESOPs can be fit in a very good manner. And if we talk about in a mix structure, so uh, even the government has recognized this ESOPs as a way as a tool to retain, to motivate, and to make the answerable even the employees by introducing ESOPs in the performance linked variable pay of the employees. Like in the public sector undertakings, also they have covered that ESOPs can be introduced for paying the variable pay, and as well as in the banks, private sector banks, the RBI has started this initiative that all the variable pay, a part of the variable pay should be paid only in the form of ESOPs. It can't be paid in the form of a cash. So it's also becoming, so we will be we can think of that now the government is also recognizing this ESOP as an instrument to retain, to even make the employee for the growth of the company they can contribute. So this is the reason why the payment structures now require the introduction of ESOPs, and definitely the manpower restructuring, because nowadays various different category of manpower we are employing in our company. So we can't pay everyone and settle them everyone in the form of a cash. So definitely manpower restructuring also require the wage structuring as well. And definitely the cultural alignment is required when the employee are also becoming the owner. They think like because they are also having the same risk as the promoter is having in the company. Now, when we talk about that ESOP can be introduced, now there are various types of organizations and the companies are there, uh, wherein the definitely the different challenges are there when we are issuing the ESOPs. For example, there is a list of companies. Definitely, listed companies have a challenge of giving the ESOPs is different, but exit to the employees are very easy because they have a very good market wherein the employee can go and monetize those equity when they have earned over their vesting periods and in the employment in the company. Now we have the organizations like startups, which is nowadays we can see that India has come out with a very good number of startups and investments are flowing into these startups as well. So these startups have started giving the ESOPs because they want that everyone should be the partner in that growth, and it has become and very well recognized even by the equity investment players as well, that when the companies are giving the ESOPs to their employees. So startups are again funded and non-funded. So both have to plan accordingly that at which stage they are. So they have to think of in the different manner when they are issuing and introducing ESOPs in the organization. And then there are various other unlisted companies wherein they are not the startups, they are not the listed one, but definitely they are self-funded organization and the promoter-owned organization. But because now the ESOPs have so many benefits, even these types of companies can also introduce ESOPs, and we can definitely define a way wherein the monetization event can be created within these companies as well, wherein the employees at a later date get a benefit out of it. So these are the types of organization, and every type of organization definitely can plan for, but definitely the considerations will be different when we are talking about the ESOPs. Now, in every organization, whether it be listed, unlisted, uh, various types of employees are now be there in the company, because like Urban Clap or Ola, Uber, or even the Zomato, all these companies don't have the permanent employees in them. They have the gig workers. So how they can be given a benefit out of it? Then we have a category, a very standard and the old traditional is a permanent employee of our. Now the companies are not keeping the employees as a permanent on the role of the company. They have the contractual employees. Contractual workers are there, which Joravaji is covering, that even if the contractor is not there, then all the people will come on our payroll. Then the panel employees like doctors and all, which are now the which are there in the hospitals, and the hospitals are now running like a corporate structure as well. So how that can be benefited? Consultants are there, which playing an important role for the growth of the company, how they can become a partner within that growth. Foreign employees are there. Definitely now the companies are getting global. So when the employees are situated in a different country, how from India we can give them the benefit equal which I be giving today an employee living in India. Similarly, employees of an holding company, subsidiary company, because the company can be a flagship company which have the holding subsidy group company, associate company. So whether I can give a benefit to my employees of those companies as well. So definitely every kind of employee can be structured in and can be covered with various permutation and the various considerations and the various conditions in the this ESOPs. When we talk about the ESOPs, so ESOPs are, we can divide that we want to give the equity benefit. So it's not necessary that we will share them of an actual the equity shares of a company. If we want, we can definitely give them the cash benefit, which is based and linked with the equity value of the company. So we can divide the ESOPs benefit in two categories, like equity based benefit and the cash based benefits. When we talk about the equity based benefits, so we have the employee ESOPs, then we have the employee purchase scheme, stock appreciation rights scheme, and the which can be settled in equity, and then the cash based schemes wherein the stock appreciation can be settled in the form of a cash. So these are the various types, and we can definitely cover, we can design these and introduce these types of ESOPs in the organization. Now the new name and the modern name of stock benefits are coming, which we are hearing nowadays. Like management stock options are coming, partner stock options are coming, which is now being introduced recently. The Urban company has announced that they are coming and they are bringing their partner stock option plan, wherein they will be giving the benefit to their uh, uh, business partners who will be giving them the ultimately business of the company. Then we have also, we can plan for the advisors stock option, wherein the advisors can be given a benefit. And then definitely an academy has introduced like teacher stock option plan. So by whatever name we can keep, because an academy has the teachers, and urban company have called their people as a partners. So these kind of stock option plans can also be introduced, and nowadays these also be getting uh, name in the field of the ESOPs. So when we think of okay, and we have decided okay, we want to give any ESOPs. So what are the considerations and what we need to plan and what we need to think when we are designing any scheme? So first important thing which we need to think of is that what type of scheme I need to introduce. For example, we have talked about ESOP, RSU, SAR. SAR, it can be equity, it can be equity linked, or it can be cash settled. So what type of scheme I should introduce in my company? Then definitely the other thing which comes is the objective. What is my objective of giving this ESOP scheme, introducing the ESOP scheme? Like whether I want to retain, whether I would reward, whether it's at the joining time I want to give, performance linked variable pay I want to link with the ESOPs. So these are the objectives which need to be which need to be penciled down when we are giving them ESOPs. Then what, which category of employee I should cover? Whether I should cover all the employees of mine, whether I can cover my permanent employee, the employee who is working only part time for me, any consultant I can cover. Similarly, not only the type of the employees, the level of the employees in the organization, like the top, the KMPs, the directors. Can I give it to my director as well, the MD, managing director, who is contributing a lot for the company? Then it comes to the even the second level management, third level management, up to what level I should go when I'm introducing ESOPs in the company. Then the company has to think of that which route they want to. Route means either we go for a fresh allotment of equity shares from the company, or we should opt for a trust route. Whether the trust will benefit in my structure or not, trust will how the trust will help it out, because trust can be help you in routing the promoter shares or founder shares to the trust, so to the employees, and even the various other benefits are there for introducing the trust. So whether we should introduce the trust or not, or is it right time to introduce the trust at the first stage, or we introduce the trust at a later stage. Then when we have decided about is, then the important question comes is, what will be my option pool and what the percentage of capital I should dilute, and I should have the ESOP percentage in my cap table. So that need to be decided, which there is no, so important to point here is that there is no legal minimum and the maximum requirement that when you are introducing ESOPs, you have to cap your ESOPs up to that percentage. So it's you are free to decide that what exactly the option pool or the capital dilution you want to. So it will range from zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.2 or 1% to any percent, 20%, 10%. And definitely the answer to is that if your capital size is small, definitely your percentage will be more. And when the capital size increases, the percentages will come down for the ESOPs. The period of vesting. Now, when you have offered them the ESOP, so what I should, how many years we can say that how many years I will break those, break that ESOP for an employee. And with I'm giving him the ESOP today, grant is being given today. And what will be the ideal period that the employee will get those ESOP in their kitty? That means 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I should give more in the first year, or later in or less in the initial years and more in the later years. So these are the answers which need to be decided when we are giving the ESOPs. Then it comes to the vesting conditions. So how conditions we want to link for getting these ESOPs.
When your voice is slow, जरा तेज करना उसको.
So when we are talking about the vesting conditions, so vesting conditions means that what are the conditions which the employee, we will keep with the employee to earn these grants. Like it will be linked with the individual performance, organization performance, or it will be linked with the it is only based on the loyalty or a time period of employee. So these are the few conditions which need to be decided, and even one grant can be divided into the various vesting conditions as well. So this is how we can divide and think of that how we have to vest our ESOPs. Then it comes to that, okay, we have decided that, okay, we are giving the grant, what the vesting conditions we want to keep. Now the question comes is, what will be the right price which we keep for an employee, which will be termed as an exercise price, which he will be paying when he is exercising those ESOPs. So that means the exercise price need to be decided. No, so as per the law, you are free to decide your exercise price. There is no formula to determine the exercise price. So you can design your exercise price formula and give it to employee. So some companies are giving it a face value, some companies are giving it a last audited value, or the companies are giving at even the value which the an independent valuer is determining for them. So it's up to you that what value you want to keep. You're free to decide for that exercise price. The next point comes to the exercise period. So when the exercise period we talk about, so exercise period is the period wherein the once the employee has earned that right, then what will be the time period for when the employee will be earning those or converting those ESOPs into the equity. So that exercise period need to be decided. It can be in terms of the years, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, or you can define it and link it with the event as well. For example, in the listed company, we can keep a time-based exercise period. But in the unlisted companies, we can keep the exercise period exercise with the event as well. When an event comes, like any private equity is coming, or any other event like HNI is interested, or any employer per se wants to give the buyback, which nowadays becoming a trend in the startups. Now the founders or the existing investors are taking the ESOPs from the employee. So what will be the exercise period that we need to determine and to be mentioned under the policy. The next thing which we need to decide is that when we have once issued the ESOPs to our employees, whether it should be logged in, that means they have converted them into equity, whether it should be logged in their hands or not. So it again, it's not it is not legally required that you are supposed to lock in the shares of the within the hands of the employee. You can keep them as a free, and you can again, if you want to, you can lock in them as well. Then the important thing when we are in an unlisted or a startup company, we need to decide on an exit mode in an unlisted company. So how we will define that? Because in a listed company we go, so we have a stock exchange wherein the employee can go and can sell whenever they want to sell those ESOPs. Now when it comes to the unlisted companies, so in the unlisted companies, the exit mode need to be defined by the company in their policy itself. That whether it will be any private equity is coming, any HNI is coming, any kind of an acquisition of that company will be done. So, and even the promoters can come out with an exit mode. So this is how, or the trust can be used, which we are talking about the route. So here the trust can be utilized for giving an exit mode. So this is how the these are the consideration which we need to plan out when we are giving and introducing an ESOP and designing our ESOP policy. So there are few analysis which we have done with respect to the ESOP pool. So because everyone has a curiosity that what will be the ESOP pool in various companies and how the liquidity options have been given. So we have taken out few examples and from the companies which have come out with an IPOs, recently IPOs. So the companies like liquidity option, they have given it after IPO only, one company. Then the companies equity shares are of such a value in one company which are being traded in the market, in an unlisted market, and the employees can sell off those shares in the market as well. Then there are few companies which have given the first exit option at the time of IPO with the offer for sale as well. So these are the liquidity options which we are giving. Then because nowadays the people, the startups wherein the person who have founded those startups, previously they will not be entitled for getting the ESOPs, but now they are the founders only, and they are not the promoters of the company. So they have also been given the ESOPs for the work and the time they have devoted in the company. So like the Paytm in the way Shekhar Sharma has been given some stake in the company, and Zomato has also given the Dipinder Goyal some percentage as an ESOP in the company. So when we are talking about that, what the exercise, what the exercise price will be. So exercise price vis-a-vis market price when we talk about. So it's the we can check from this data that the company is also linking their exercise price with the market price. Like the company market price at the time of grant is 70 and the Camlin has given it 63, so there is % no discount, and there are few companies as well which are giving at a par value as well. So a complete discount over the market price. So that's the company's call, how they want to. Now it comes to that, what are the buyback options which the company can keep over this when we are introducing the ESOPs. So buyback options recently in the few months have been given as the Jupiter. Like Jupiter has recently been given the buyback options. Cars 24 has given the Healthy MyFi, Slice, and the Lead School. So these companies have given the exit options to their employees by monetizing their ESOPs and the shares which they are holding and converted through the ESOPs. So when we are talking about that, how ESOPs work, so important comes is the life cycle of an ESOP. So how the life cycle of an ESOPs work. So life cycle of ESOPs work like the first we grant the options, then it get vested to the employees. That means the grant which we have given, whatever the conditions which we keep for an employee, Once they fulfill those conditions, then the right get vested to the employees. Then after vesting, the employees will be exercising those options. So exercising of options, we are setting up the timelines and the modus, which we also have to design that how they will exercise. Now, for exercising, definitely the important consideration, many of the companies who have already their ESOPs, so they have to thought of that at the time of exercise, how the funding will be arranged, and there are how the tax liabilities need to be settled out. So these are the exercise of option is the stage where the ultimately the benefit employee is getting out of the options which they have received. After the exercise of option, it comes to the allotment or transfer of shares, wherein the employee will be converting this option exercised into the equity shares. And then once the allotment is being done, then definitely the sale of shares. And this is the last point when the shares which they have and the equity which they have earned, they are getting the monetization out of it. So these are the life cycle of ESOPs, that how the ESOP work. When we are talking about the procedure for issuance of ESOPs, so how this procedure will be handled. So definitely when you're introducing ESOP, it's not only the policy and it's not any HR policy that you have framed it and you are keeping it and passed it to board or only to an HR management. So what we need to do when we are introducing an ESOP, so you have to draft your scheme, you have to pass it through your board. Then in the listed companies, the main role is of NRC, nomination remuneration committee, which need to help and which need to monitor and administer the ESOPs in the company. Then once the board meeting is done, you have to go for the journal meeting. That means shareholders need to approve. And why the shareholders is approving? Because ultimately it's an equity dilution. So the shareholders meeting need to be approved. Then we have to obtain an in principle approval from the stock exchanges. If it is a listed company, in an unlisted company, no further approvals are required once you have obtained your shareholder approval. Then grant of option, vesting will done, transfer and allotment. And if it's a company, a listed one, then definitely a listing approval from the exchanges also need to be required. So this is how the how you have to make your ESOPs effective. Then it comes to that how the law, what now the question comes, what laws are applicable when we are issuing the ESOPs. So when we are issuing the ESOPs, so we have to comply with the Companies Act, share-based employee benefit and sweat equity regulations, SEBI LODR regulations, SEBI PIT regulations. So these are on the listed companies. Unlisted company has to comply only the Companies Act. Then income tax is applicable on all the companies. Why the income tax is applicable? Because everyone has just, even the Arun sir has pointed out that whatever we are issuing the ESOPs, it is taxable in the hands of an employee. So income tax comes into consideration. When we are introducing foreign employees in our ESOP, so FEMA will come into picture and applicable accounting standard, because ESOPs are a cost to a company. When we are issuing ESOPs, so we have to book in our book a cost in the books of accounts. So applicable accounting standards need to be followed when we are booking the cost of the ESOPs. So when we are issuing the ESOPs and we have framed our policy, but now the question comes is that when we have reached to that particular stage, so how we implement and how we manage the entire ESOP cycle. So there is a tool also wherein we can, which helps us in managing our ESOPs. So it's a corporate professionals initiative that we have designed this entire tool for managing the entire life cycle of ESOP. So through this tool, you can definitely from the grant till your exercise and the share sale, capital gain calculations, tax calculations, everything can be taken care of, which the companies generally face challenge when they issue ESOPs. So this is from my side. Thank you everyone. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mohini. Thank you very much for giving the lucid and very impactful presentation that how to bring out. No doubt, the Arun ji and Joravar Singh has explained to you, but you have given that how to take this journey and how to implement this. But now this time for questions. So we have more than 50 questions on various topics. So I will request Joravar Singh ji and Mohini, please give answer to these queries. So Mohini, I'm starting with you.
Yes.
Questions are more and we have to give answers, so we have to be very brief. Can we issue ESOP to the directors linked with their sales target? If yes, what should be the brief procedure?
So definitely ESOPs can be given to directors. So this is the first answer, and definitely any vesting conditions can be linked into. So sales can be definitely linked when we are giving and issuing the ESOPs. So if they not be able to achieve those targets, then their ESOPs will get lapsed from their hands.
Okay. If the right share or bonus shares are issued to the shareholders, and if the ESOP holder was share value 5% in the company, is it necessary to compensate him with the issuing additional grant?
Even if it's a less than 5%, it doesn't matter. When you are coming out with an issue of rights or bonus shares, you have to give an equal benefit and pass on this equal benefit to the ESOP holders as well. So all the employees who are holding the options need either be adjusted in the terms of number or in terms of the exercise price.
Joravar sir, a company has implemented ESOP to employee. The company wants to stipulate lock-in period for 5 years on shares as and when to be allotted to employee. Can company stipulated this lock-in period? There are two aspects of this law. One is the ESOP, one is the labor law point of view. So you give the labor law point of view, and then Mohini, you just give the company law point of view, the ESOP law point of view. Yes, sir.
This is a benefit beyond the definition of wage. So anything companies giving beyond the definition of wage under the law, there is no restriction on it. But why 5 years? Because for 5 years, I already have a gratuity act in place. I will rather do it at 3rd or 7th year. So I have a client who has done it at 7th year.
Okay. Okay. Mohini, in the event of merger acquisition, can the company consider even the unvested option also to be immediately vested, which within minimum vesting period of 1 year?
If yeah, it's correct that if the 1 year minimum vesting period has been done, has it already been passed out, then even the unvested shares can be vested immediately and can be given a suitable adjustment as the NRC or the board will decide on that.
Okay. Mohini, there are some questions related to PIT which I will ask you later on. Joravar sir, the employer have granted ESOP on 25th March 2019. Vesting after 3 years, the 3 years period will complete on 25th March 2022. Now exercise within 5 years from vesting. Now employee resigned on 31st March 2022. Can employee withdraw his employer?
See, again, I say the entire concept of ESOP is to delinking the remuneration paid or CTC paid to the employee from the wage structure itself. So this will strictly go as per the ESOP scheme. If ESOP scheme has a provision, it is not a salary or wage. He cannot claim it under salary or wage, the payment of wages.
What is your view?
Sir, ESOPs can be definitely when a person is going out. So definitely whatever they have earned, that is with them, and whatever they have not earned, that get lapsed from their hands.
So exercise within 5 years from vesting, they are saying. So you can exercise within
so
5
years. So if their policy is saying that they can exercise even in the 5 years, even after the resignation, definitely they can exercise, because we have to give them the right to exercise whatever the period we have determined in our scheme.
Okay. Okay. A newly incorporated public limited company wants to issue ESOP as a part of to director and employee. Whether it can do such, if is how it can do with a Joravar.
That Mohini will be better able to answer.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, means director and employees, definitely he should not be the promoter of a company. He can be given an ESOPs. He should be a professional director in a company, not an independent and promoter.
Okay. When is it mandatory to get prior approval from shareholder for issuing more than 1% grant of the employee? If it is
Yes.
not done,
Yes.
how to ratify this?
So the law says that if you are issuing the ESOPs to any employee, which is more than 1% of your capital, but before issuing and granting them ESOPs, you have to take a separate approval from your shareholders, and you have to give the name. You have to specify that to whom you are giving the ESOPs, And if you have not given, that's definitely a violation. Ratification is not making your good that thing, but before you have to take care of it.
Joravar sir, majority questions are coming on technical nature, not with directly law. So I'm asking questions from Moini, but whenever you want to add something which is related to, you please
Sure.
add on. Moini, can a non-cash component like ESOP be protected, secured, so that the employee receive the exact amount? Example, if we want to give rupees 10 lakh to ESOP and want to secure the same so that employee gets the same.
So the policies are definitely a secure, when it is being written in the policies and when we have issued the grant letters to our employees.
This
And
question is not complete. Somebody, those Mr. Vijay Kumar, you have sent it. Please explain something more, because with what types of protection you are talking about? You are talking the insurance protection. You are talking some other protection. Please write so we can give you an answer. Moini, in the recent savings mutual fund guideline, 5% of salary component shall be in the form of unit to be given to the fund manager. Some key employee, as per our understanding, the same shall be credited to the employee account without any payment. If so, how it is to be accounted and structured? This structured scheme like ESOP, applying similar principle in banking, can be issue option without payment.
it can be explored, sir. We need to study more on this mutual fund aspects, that how the units can be done.
So,
It is a very valid question. The person is asking that suppose we do not want to pay salary at all to a person, we only pay in the form of, or we hide the salary and pay it as a alternate. Can we do that? Beyond the minimum wages, beyond the minimum committed salary, yes, we can do that, because in fact, here the individual is donning two hats. One hat is of an employee, where employee-employer relationship is at play, which is salary against the work done. Second is we are making him a business owner or a business partner as a stakeholder. So he is a stakeholder of the company. Their stakeholder versus company relationship will apply.
Okay. When can ESOP be issued to employee without paying any exercise price? If yes, how should be structured?
If it's so there are two ways for giving the ESOP. So one is that fresh issuance. So fresh issuance cannot be below the par value. So at least the par value, that the face value, need to be obtained from an employee. But if it is a transfer from a founder or a promoter or any existing investors, so that can be given even the free of cost as well.
Janavanji, can a company give ESOP to employee every month as a part of salary?
Sir, it can be given. Only condition is that if you give in-kind benefits beyond 15% of the total, they fall back as a base wage.
Okay.
So that means that is a restriction.
I think, sir, that can be framed in like that we can give a grant once in a year and then it get vested on a monthly basis. We can plan for that. Like.
Okay. Moini, can LLP give ESOP?
No.
Can a public company give ESOP to executive director?
Yeah, public company can give an ESOPs to the executive directors.
Can we issue ESOP without exercising price, means without consideration at zero cost for the private limited company?
We have covered it earlier as well, sir. If it's a fresh issuance, it can't go below the par value as
well. Okay. You have been seeing regulation like RBI SEBI in case of mutual fund structuring the compensation of senior management. What is your view on that, and what are the key aspects to be taken care of?
So when we are, government has also linking, it's not the first, the basic and the fixed pay, they are not touching for the ESOP. So definitely ESOPs, the government is also covering those ESOPs into the variable linked pay. So whatever the variable pay they are earning, an employee is earning, they are trying that can be linked with the equity value of that company. So I think it's a good thing that we link the variable pay with the ESOPs, not the fixed pay.
Okay. What are the compliance requirement of SEBI PIT regulation 2015 with respect to ESOP and SAST?
SAST is not covering because we are not touching the promoters in ESOPs. So SAST will not be coming into picture. but PIT definitely come into picture when we are giving in a listed company. So there are various stages. So at the time of grant, no PIT regulations are applicable. At the time of vesting, nothing. Only the exercise is the point when the PIT will come into picture, because the employees are becoming the owners and the shareholders in the company. So they will be, they have to take care of the PIT regulations. And when they're selling it off, again, all the designated persons who are getting the ESOPs have to comply with the PIT.
Okay. Can a trust purchase shares through secondary acquisition during closure of window?
No, because trust has to comply the PIT in the same manner as the promoter has to, and the promoters are barred from purchasing the shares from market during the trading window closure.
Okay, how the difference of market price and exercise price is adjusted in the books of account of trust as well as company?
Trust is not going to adjust. This cost is to be booked in the books of the accounts of the company, not the trust. So trust is only the mechanism through which you are purchasing the shares and you are giving them to the employee. But the cost is to be because it's ultimately the benefit is being earned by the company. So the cost is the difference in the market value and the exercise price to be booked in the books of accounts of the company only.
How is the shortfall in repayment of loan by trust to the company adjusted in books of accounts in trust and the company?
It's like a bad debt. Any agency which is not any debtor is not paying the debt in the same manner.
Can you share your views on structuring of ESOP in line with the recent RBI circular mentioning about considering fair value, black hole in the ESOP structure? Explain role of fair value of the ESOP structuring and its accounting.
So RBI has said that you have to mandatorily give a percentage of the variable pay in the form of an ESOP. And when you are determining the ESOP value, which you have to book in your books, because when you are paying the cash or a salary, you have to take it in your P&L, like a compensation cost. So ESOPs to be booked as per the Black-Scholes method. That means in India's recognized methodology for option valuation, which need to be recognized in the books of a bank. Because banks otherwise are not required to follow India's, but when they are issuing the ESOP, they have to book the ESOP cost only as per the Black-Scholes.
Okay, whether the ESOP structure should be prior to the investor coming, as they would have lesser resultant stake, or should it be the part of my dilution? I am willing to set aside up to 15% out of my initial 100% stake towards ESOP and start with 85% stake prior to the investors coming in.
So then it's a call we can discuss over that why they want to introduce today and what is the benefit introducing it today, or they can even go further later on as well.
And the very simple is that suppose you are giving 15% ESOP and 85% you are keeping yourself, and investor is coming, so it will reduce in the same percentage.
Right. And value is not unlocked even today. If you are giving them the ESOPs, definitely when the investor will come, your value get unlocked and more wealth creation for the employee will be. So it can be considered.
So 20% suppose you have to dilute. So out of 15% and 85%, the same ratio of 20% will be diluted for both the things. So ultimately resultant should be the 100%. That's all. Okay. Can the company keep restriction on sale of shares in the hands of employee? Joravarji. Because now if you are making a part of two questions in this. One is the ESOP per se, which Mohini will give. One is suppose I am making a part of my salary process, and then can a company keep restriction on sale of shares in the hand of employee? You have to unmute yourself, sir.
Another question which I've seen on the board is that somebody is asking if PLI, performance linked incentive, which we are giving, is a salary or not, or how it is exempt from a wage. It's a similar question here. The very fact we are exploring ESOPs now is how to take money being paid to employee out of definition of wage. If we try to make it a wage, like earlier somebody asked that can we pay it monthly as a salary, if we try to link it to the work done and payment in lieu of that, it will become a salary and the entire exercise will become futile. What we are trying to say is performance linked incentive, or this money which we are paying, this is paying beyond the extraordinary work, and we want to camouflage it or figure it out or display it as something which the company is giving as to a specific group who's doing better for the company, not as a wage, but more as a reward.
Benefit employee as compared to ESOP. For example, if SAR
So your voice is not coming properly. Hello.
Moni, now it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine, sir.
How SAR benefit employees as compared to ESOP? For example, if SAR with a fair market value of 1 crore vested on the eligible date, what employee will get?
So ESOP, so in the ESOP, what an employee is giving is that employee has to apply for all the shares, like for the one equity or one ESOP. So they have to pump in more money for getting the ESOPs, and then they are getting the appreciation. When we are talking about the SAR, that means stock appreciation, right? So you are investing a less amount. You are investing only for the appreciation amount. You're not investing for the full amount in the ESOP. So in the ESOP, you're getting more numbers and you're investing more. In the SAR, you're only getting an appreciation, and that appreciation you're investing. So this is the difference of ESOPs and SAR.
Okay, why trust route is advantageous instead of regular route?
So trust route, definitely it again have a different answer for the different type of organization. In an unlisted company, trust can be used as a kind of a mechanism through which we can purchase the shares, or we can give an exit route to an employee. And in an unlisted companies, we can think of that it helps in it shorten the route of exercising for the employees. So once the shares will be captured in the trust, then those can be easily transferred to an employee, and at every time you need not to go and issue the shares. Funding can be done through the trust. So these are the few benefits which a trust can give when we are introducing.
Private limited company can issue ESOP without forming trust. How it is be done?
Yeah, it's not necessary that you have to you have to form a trust. A private limited company, whenever the opportunity comes, you can directly issue the shares to your employees. No need for having a trust.
Okay.
Plus, the trust can also help in purchase of stock, employee stock purchase options. They subsidize or delay or give advances or loans or delay the money payment by the employee. They can help in purchase. So that is the benefit which is to the trust.
Okay. Can a company continue to grant further option under its existing employee stock plan? It was framed under pre-amended regulation for which in principle approval obtained from the stock exchange without amending ESOP in the line with SEBI regulation in 2021.
No requirement of the per se, no requirement is there for which you have obtained your in principle approval. No need for going for an in principle approval again after the amended regulation. But definitely when you are granting the ESOPs after the amended regulation in August 2021, you have to keep in mind the eligibility conditions which the new regulation says. Like earlier they are talking about the permanent employee, now they are talking about employees exclusively working for the company. So with respect to only one or two conditions basically which are regarding the eligibility or the exercise need to be amended. Otherwise, no requirement of amending if you're not giving that benefit to an employee.
Okay, same question is answered. I think this is it necessary to companies to amend their existing employee stock plan in line with the provision of SEBI regulation 2021 before granting fresh options?
No, so fresh options, if you are covering the new category of your employee, definitely you have to amend your regulation, amend your scheme first.
Okay, you are saying 1% limit is for ESOP for granting issued in a year, and suppose Mr. A is already granted option ESOP in 2019 amounting to 0.5%, and then under new ESOP scheme 2020 they have given 0.75. Now, whether separate resolution at the general meeting required to be passed considering the total amount will go beyond 1%. So 50%, the 0.50, 0.75, now it is 0.25, so it will cross to 1%.
They are saying that if any person is getting a grant more than 1%, so that means at the time of grant, you need to think of that the grant is per se is getting more than 1% or not, then you have to take the approval.
Okay, now this is rapid round, Moini and Jorawa sir. So you have to very quick. ESOP once issued can be extinguished at any stage.
No, it is a variation of a right for an employee. You can't do so per se.
So, but if I have granted and exercise has not taken place, can I not extinguish?
Auto lapse, sir. It will auto lapse once you're not exercised.
Okay.
I need not to extinguish it.
Jorawa sir, if I have given my employee as a salary part, additional thing, not the wage, not minimum thing, and that particular time, this type of thing management decide don't give extinguish it, can the employee go to the court?
See, the purpose of ESOP is not to make it look like a salary. So it is not a salary. Salary is something which is payable for the work done directly. So if it is payable for the work done, obviously the person can even go to labor court. But the objective is that it is not for the, it is for retention, it is for passion building, it is for rewarding somebody. It's more like a gratuity, which is not a wage.
Okay, now suppose I am keeping you in my company and I'm saying I'm offering you 50 lakh rupees per annual. So for 25 lakh, I will give you monthly salary and 25 lakh yearly salary and 25 lakh rupees ESOP I'm giving. And then I decided not to give ESOP, I'm extinguishing.
So I will go against you under the Contract Act.
Okay. So the minimum wages thing will go to the labor law, otherwise.
Correct.
Okay. If performance linked pay, including bonus, ESOP, RSU, falls under the definition of wage.
I have just answered that question.
Okay.
That it is not a salary because it's not being given against the work done.
Whenever at the end of vesting 3, the valuation of the company is different. So it is mandatory to fix the same price for all the vesting, or it can be different. Please educate.
No, practice is to keep every grant has one price for every vesting.
Okay, how can plan for ESOP cost to the company without taking any consideration from employees of private limited company?
Sir, again, what will be the
ESOP cost to the company? I think Jorawa sir, you can tell how can plan for ESOP in the cost to the company without taking into consideration from employee of private limited company. I think
it is like a bonus being announced by the company for everybody that the company has done very good. So I am giving 100 shares to such this segment of employees. Now this has nothing to do with the work done by the employee. This is something beyond. So hence it is not a wage or salary.
But it will, sir, when we are issuing the ESOP, so it will be
Cost will be of
a
company.
cost to the company. So P&L will definitely be booked
Effect.
for this cost.
And when
whatever
employee,
the difference, yeah, whatever
but,
the difference.
and when employee encashes, then it will be an income tax
Yeah.
problem for the employee.
Yes.
Wendy, how can stock appreciation work? How to prepare ESOP plan and comply with the Companies Act? Whether we have to take any consideration from employee for stock appreciation?
Stock appreciation right is the first. In the stock appreciation right, we have to decide that whether we want to settle it in the form of an equity or in the form of a cash. So in the stock appreciation, what we do, we define today as, for example, a base value, and the future, for example, after 3rd year, we are giving them the benefit. So the difference between the 2 dates will be the appreciation which they have earned. That appreciation, if that will be converted into equity, so at a face value, because ultimately new equity to be issued will be given, and if not, then it will be paid in the form of a cash. So in this manner, the stock appreciation right will work.
Okay, can I give ESOP assuming 100% of performance and then adjust it accordingly after evaluating the performance? Explain performance-based vesting, how it can be done.
Yes, definitely. We are giving the ESOPs today, and we link the vesting with the performance. And if the performance is not up to the mark, definitely we can lapse those options on the ground of performance appraisal or performance conditions.
Sir, for this particular thing, this is a part of my offer letter, but you are saying my performance is not good, but I think my performance was okay. And there was a no parameter which can identify. So what is the remedy for me?
So first of all, there cannot be a vague performance linked policy. Any sensible organization will say, okay, the target is that you have to achieve 100 clients and turnover of 1 crore. So it has to be a very crisp plan If it is vague, obviously it is subject to litigation. And suppose person doesn't achieve, it doesn't get. Suppose he achieves, he gets. But then this is not related directly to the work done as if in wage and employer.
Sir, vesting conditions, when we are defining the vesting condition, we have to very clearly point it out what the performance we want from an employee. It cannot be kept as a vague that something you will achieve. Performance metrics should be very much clear beforehand when an employee will be granted.
Okay, Moini, if there is one question, one answer you have given, somebody is asking more clarification. ESOP rules has given a cap for ESOP shares up to 5% of UC.
No, 5% is not any limit. I think generally the companies get confused with the employee quota reservation under the IPO, but there is no limit of issuing the ESOPs in the company.
So I can issue 20%, 30%.
Yes, you can definitely. You can.
How can exercise price be at a discount to the face value? It is not contrary to Companies Act norms that shares cannot be issued at a discount or to face value.
Below face value, I again repeating, below face value, fresh issuance cannot be done even if your price is below the face value. And if you want to give below the face value, you have either the promoters, founders, or any investor has to give that shares to them.
Okay, sir, Joravarji, is new labor code impacting ESOP norms?
No, in fact, not. Rather, it is forcing companies to get ESOP in place for mid and senior level people, because otherwise their retirement load will go very high.
Okay. I have received 50 more questions. So, Moini, can promoter dilute their stake by transferring shares to employee in the form of ESOP without issuing fresh shares?
They want to dilute their shares from themselves.
I'm a promoter. I have my shares, and I want to give you shares in the form of ESOP without diluting.
You can give through a trust route. I think it's a better one. To trust, you transfer and transfer the shares to them.
A whole-time director, not a promoter director, as per the list of promoter, can be ESOP issued to him.
Yeah, professional directors can be given ESOPs.
The company granted option for 1 year, but now wants to change the period of exercise from 1 year to 2 years. Can it be done? If yes, whether shareholders resolution is required?
Any change, the change can be done only when it is not the prejudicial to the interest of the employee. If we can prove that by extending the period of exercise, we are not affecting the rights, it's not prejudicial to the employees, definitely you can change, but approval of shareholder is required.
1 year to 2 years you are doing, so it is a loss.
It's not a loss, definitely.
What is the tax implication for the employee of the company?
Tax implications in the ESOPs are at the 2 points. So first, when they exercise, they have to pay a perquisite tax on the ESOP exercise. And when they sell off those shares, then they have to pay the capital gain.
Okay. What are the disclosure applicable in connection with ESOP grant in a listed entity?
Disclosures of the grant, you need to disclose if you think it is a material information, you have to disclose immediately when you have granted under the NRC. Then on an yearly basis, you have to give in a director's report the position of your ESOP schemes in the company. So these are the 2 mandatory disclosures which you need to do.
Okay. Buyback of ESOP are permitted under which regulation?
Buyback of ESOPs are in the listed companies. SEBI has covered one option of buyback the ESOPs, and even in the ESOP regulations, they have covered now that NRC can design the buyback process. In an unlisted companies, there is no provision of buyback of those ESOP shares, so it will be treated at par with just like any other shares.
So this is one advantage which people can take advantage if they are issuing and then they want to buy back if this is unlisted.
Yes.
Can we issue ESOP without wasting period?
No, without vesting you can't. You have to. In that case, you are issuing the shares directly. So it's an employee stock purchase. You are offering your employees and they are purchasing it. Option is always with an option at a future date.
Okay, can you explain how we can issue shares by director to their employee without considering in the existing shares?
Without affecting their?
Without consideration in the existing shares. I think there is two interpretation, without consideration, and one is without diluting the existing share.
So existing shares to transfer, we can transfer the existing shares to an employee if already been an issued part.
But suppose I am transferring the normal shares to the employee, will it be treated as ESOP?
If
No.
it is as per the policy which we are designing, then otherwise, if it's simply if you find me an eligible employee and you are giving me the shares, so it's not an ESOP. So ESOP should be as per the policy which we design.
Okay. Whether cashless exercise is permissible beyond sale to cover under this trust route.
Sell now only the sell to cover. Sell to cover means is allowed. That means trust can only sell to that extent which is required to pay off the exercise price and the tax part of the total exercise. Not all the shares
Okay.
which
Whether
are exercising.
what should be done if the ESOP pool is getting exhausted? Is SAR an option which can be considered since dilution is required? And what about accounting hit in both ESOP and SAR?
Accounting it in ESOP and SAR same, because all the equity based benefits being accounted as per the Ind AS 102. And for the definitely SAR is an answer to those questions when already the dilution is very good and promoters further dilutions not to be there. SAR will be the better thing, because appreciation will be converted into equity. So more appreciation, so less dilution.
Can the company keep restriction on the sale of shares in the hands of employee? Which I think this answer we have already given. It can be given because you say bonus. Is there any restriction on exercise of option during window closure or while being in possession of EPSI in the context of PIT regulation? Similarly, whether any restriction on selling shares upon exercise when trading window is open but employee is in possession of UPSI?
Exercise of ESOPs can be done even the trading window is closed, you are in possession of UPSI. But you cannot sell those shares when the trading window is closed or when you are in possession of UPSI.
Is employee required to pay any tax on difference between price prevailing on exercise price and the strike price?
Yes, they have to pay the excess. This is the perquisite value only. The difference between your excise price and the market value at that time.
Okay. Can foreign national be given ESOP?
Yes, definitely. Foreign employees can be given the ESOPs.
Okay. If an NRI employee pays exercise price but does not provide debit statement and KYC letter within 60 days of remittance, it is okay to reject his exercise application even if it would result in lapse of option?
Yeah, if we have not issued any equity shares against that, definitely we can reject them exercise if we are not getting the confirmation from the AD that we have received the money.
Okay. Once the shares are allotted in the ESOP, it is merged with the normal paid shares capital for all the purpose of the provision of the Companies Act.
Yes, the ESOP shares should be at a par level with the existing equity only.
Okay. Can the vesting period be 5 days or 1 month in case of listed companies?
Minimum is 1 year. After that, you can have a monthly vesting, quarterly vesting, yearly vesting, whatever the more you want.
Okay. Can we issue option without any payment? That is, can exercise price be done by the company?
Excise price below 10 you can do, na? It's the same question without consideration. So the employer will ultimately not funding the ESOP. By debiting in the P&L, you are ultimately be funding the ESOPs to the employees, but below par value you can't do.
Okay. So we have given answer of all 58 questions which people have given here, and 20 questions we received yesterday. So all more than 78 questions answer we have given. If in case any answer is not clear, and some questions were very long, so I have not covered. But anybody who is not satisfied, he can write to moini@indiacp.com, and she will give answer to your queries. And because time is now, we are completing our we are reaching to 6 o'clock. So now I thanks both the speaker and especially in absence Mr. Arun. Before closing this is our ritual that I'm asking for from 1 minute from both the speaker. That what is your call on the entire ESOP connected to labor code, connected to making the compensation package part? Will it work? Is there any need to change certain things? Your over, sir.
Yes, this is a long neglected tool. Not only wage structuring, that is only 1/4 of what you are saying. There are 3 other factors which are listed why ESOPs are getting popular day by day. Retention and passion and entangling employees with my business mission and vision is more important these days, because retention is becoming a problem these days beyond the wage structure. So compliance, yes, for compliance, lots of many companies have to do now to keep the gratuity and retirement load low on the balance sheet. But it is anyways required for new companies also, uh, for retention and passion building.
Okay, Moini.
Definitely, it will become a need of the day because HR practices are changing, and to meet the global requirements as well, companies need to introduce the ESOPs. It has changed from IT to the manufacturing sector as well. So definitely, ESOPs will become an important part in the compensation packages of the company.
Okay, so thank you very much. And for my all participants, thank you very much to all of you. As you are aware, this is one tool which will see the new dimension in the compensation, as well as there is a new different type of things will emerge in companies. So whenever you are going to any company, there is a possibility that you will find that they are giving money as well as the ESOP. And ESOP, because unlisted company ESOP, you may confuse that how they will do. So they can do it through the buyback system. So I think we must appreciate both all the three speakers and the participant, that this is a new thing. Somebody has suggested that we should have the program on sweat equity. We will definitely keep it, that program. And there is a one money last, somebody has asked NRI query, money has been received.
Money?
Regarding NRI query, money has been received. I think there is this not complete. Mr. Jital Chadda, you just asked this question one time.
Yeah, you please connect me over the mail or the call.
And anybody has any query relating to ESOP, they can do it. Mohini is exclusively doing work, and I should appreciate Mohini that she is controlling and commanding and talking about the entire issue of ESOP, whether it's a tax aspect, whether it's stock action listing aspect, whether it's a buyback, whether it's a various other thing. And now Anupam Malik sir and Joravar Singh sir has joined hand with us, and we have started a people service where we are designing the ESOP scheme with the compensation part. So that is a new things which will take shape. So thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. Continue our journey of this knowledge sharing. Our next webinar on recent trend and regulatory development in M&A and corporate restructuring. We will organize this program on 25th March, Friday, and 4 to 6 at the same time, on the legislative development and updating relating to M&A, things to keep in mind while restructuring a business, current and future M&A trend and regulatory expectation for corporate undertaking restructuring. These are the topics we will cover. And because the next Friday is the Holi, so I wish all of you the happy Holi. You enjoy, you take part, and the Corona will go away, and we all enjoy this year Holi in a different manner and with a peaceful mind. Thank you very much to all. Thank you, Joravarji. Thank you, Moini.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And if you have any topic, like somebody has sent, we'll do it. You have any topic,